Hey everyone, let's talk about a phrase from the Bible that you've probably heard a million times. But what if I told you that for centuries, almost everyone has been reading it completely backward? Like, we've just totally missed the real point. Okay, when you hear the words, the gates of hell shall not prevail, what do you picture? Come on, be honest. It's probably a big stone fortress, right? The church, holding on for dear life, while all these evil forces are just hammering on the doors. It's all about survival, just trying not to lose. But what if that entire image is just wrong? So you've got this popular view of defending the walls, just trying to survive an assault. But the hidden truth? It's the complete opposite. It's about storming the gates, conducting an invasion. We're not talking about a fortress under siege, we're talking about a commissioned army on the march. Yeah, it looks like we've been reading this whole thing backward. All right, let's kick things off by digging into this common misreading. This whole idea of a defensive church, just barely hanging on, it would have sounded totally bizarre to the people who first heard these words. They would have pictured something way, way different, something a lot more aggressive. And this is the key. Jesus isn't describing hell as the aggressor. Nope, he's flipping the script. He's talking about a church that is on the offense, a church that is actually laying siege to the realm of hell. And the kicker? Hell's defenses aren't going to hold up. Just that one little flip in perspective, well, it changes everything. Okay, to really crack this case, we need to put on our detective hats. We've got to decode a couple of ancient clues, specifically two words, gates and Hades. Understanding what these words meant back then is crucial. It's not just a language thing. It's about stepping into a whole different way of seeing the world. So let's talk about gates. What were they in the ancient world? Well, first off, they're not offensive weapons, right? A gate has never jumped out and attacked anyone. Gates are purely defensive. They were these enormous fortified structures that symbolized a city's power, its authority. It's where the big decisions were made. Their entire job was to stop an army from getting in. Okay, so with that in mind, listen to the phrase again. And the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. That word, prevail, is everything. What does it mean? It means to withstand, to hold out, to successfully defend against an attack. Prevail against what exactly? Think about it. When do gates need to prevail? Only when they're under attack, when an army is trying to break them down. So in this picture Jesus is painting, who's the attacker? It's not Hades. It has to be the church. And what about Hades? This isn't just some spooky metaphor for death. No, in the biblical mindset, Hades was a place of power. It was seen as an organized, hostile spiritual kingdom, a domain ruled by cosmic forces that were totally opposed to God, and they were exercising real authority over the world. It was basically a rival empire. But wait, it gets even better. There's another huge piece to this puzzle, and honestly, it might be the most mind-blowing part. Jesus didn't just say this anywhere. The location he chose to make this declaration, wow. Where he said it is just as important as what he said. So where does he go? He takes his followers on a road trip to a place called Caesarea Philippi. And this was no accident. He was deliberately setting the stage for a massive supernatural showdown. I mean, he was literally walking into the heart of enemy territory to make this announcement. So what's the deal with Caesarea Philippi? Think of it as like the capital city of pagan worship. It was infamous for all kinds of wild, idolatrous cults. And get this, it had this huge, deep cave that people in that time believed was a literal gateway to Hades, a physical entrance to the underworld. This place was ground zero for spiritual rebellion. Just let that sink in for a second. Jesus is standing right there at the front door of what everyone thought was the enemy's HQ, and he proclaims its downfall. It's like walking up to your rival's fortress and announcing that you're going to tear it down. He is declaring war right on their home turf. Okay, so what does all of this mean for the mission of the church? Well, it completely flips it on its head. The goal isn't to just build a bunker and hope for the best. No, the mission is a full-on invasion into territory held by the enemy. And that's the great reversal we're talking about today. The church is the one on the attack. It's an army on the move with orders to advance, to push back the darkness, to go and storm the gates. The gates aren't coming for us. We are coming for the gates. And this is a really active mission, It's about confronting deception with truth. It's about bringing freedom to people who are trapped. It's about breaking down corrupt systems by living out the values of Christ's kingdom. It's a mission that doesn't shy away from the world's darkest places. It runs right into them. All right, so let's start to bring this all home. What's the biggest takeaway from this declaration? Well, it's more than just a battle cry. It's actually a promise that the outcome is already decided. You could call it a manifesto for victory. And here's the bottom line. This statement was never about just toughing it out. It's about winning. Jesus is basically guaranteeing that the kingdom of darkness, no matter how strong or scary it looks, is going to lose. Its defenses will fail. Victory isn't just a possibility, it's a certainty. And man, this quote really just nails it. It's a total power flip. The church does not fear the gates of Hades. The gates fear the church. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. What changes if we see the mission not as some desperate struggle for survival, but as our bold, confident participation in a victory that's already guaranteed? Definitely something to think about.